All right. The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is, in fact, the aftermath of Jessie Bam Rodriguez stopping Guile Estrada. It's also the aftermath of Teofimo Lopez versus Steve Claggett. So we'll definitely be discussing all those things here on True School Sports. It'll be a fun show. It'll be an action-packed show. We're looking at maybe going an hour and some change. And guys, just so you guys know, if you guys didn't see the community post earlier, if you don't follow me on Instagram, let it be known here. I'll let it be known here quickly and swiftly that this is also the beginning of 90 Days of Boxing 2.0. Yes, we're going to do it again for those of you guys that really enjoyed the 90 Days of Boxing live series we did from mid-January to mid-April. We're going to run it back. We're going to do it again because, quite frankly, I feel like I was at my best when I was doing the lives every single day. So I want to do it every single day again and make it even better this time. So, yeah, I'll be live every single day beginning today till October the 1st, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But, yeah, man, good to be here. Good to be seen. Good to be talking boxing. Good to be in the month of July. You know, June, quite frankly, guys, was the longest month in the history of my life. So happy to just be doing what I do best. And yeah, shout out to everybody here. Before we proceed any further along, this is the first live since the Panthers won the Stanley Cup. So congratulations must go in order to the Stanley Cup champion, the greatest show on ice since Disney on Ice, Florida Panthers. Shout out to them for finally making my lifelong one of my lifelong dreams come true, and winning the Stanley Cup and bringing it to South Florida. A lot of people back home are very excited about it, and they should be. It's been a long time coming. So with that being said, with that being established here on True School Sports, let's go ahead and take some time to acknowledge the fine folks that are already chiming in. Guys, please make sure you smash that like button because for some reason the YouTube is always trying to suppress and keep True School Sports down. So when you guys smash the like button, that lets YouTube know that, hey, you know, you guys like the content, and it gets pushed out to more people that aren't yet subscribed to True School Sports. So it helps me out, helps the channel out, and yeah, please do that for me. But yeah, shout out to my guy Eddie Morales, one of my favorite viewers of the channel. He says, finally, the pound for pound king of lives is back. Yes, man. It's good to be back. It's good to be here, to be seen. Shout out to you, Eddie. Hope all is well. Hannah Shrevall says, good evening. And yeah, we're back. We're back, Hansky, for a second batch of the 90 days. We are here to talk that world-class boxing talk. So really excited about it. I know Shakur Stevenson fights this Saturday. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do for that fight yet, or if I'll do anything in the first place, because I mean, I don't know, but there will be a live at some point during that day. But nonetheless, let's get into it because I don't want to waffle about. We got things to touch on. We got places to go, people to see today. So let's start with Bam Rodriguez. Shout out to you, Slide Encounter. Good to see you. Let's start with Bam Rodriguez because the talk has been since the knockout of Guile that pretty much Bam Rodriguez is a bona fide top 5 pound fighter, and there's no two ways about it. I feel like the boxing media, I feel like a lot of boxing fans are doing their best to make this a universal fact. And you know, I wanted to check the temperature of the boxing community here on True School Sports. So there was a poll in the community post over the last 2 days. I asked you guys, is Bam Rodriguez a pound fighter? Yes or no? And these are the results of that post. So I'll go to screen share right quick. So the result of the post was basically the 671 people voted on our poll. 69% of you guys said yes, Bam Rodriguez is a top 5 pound fighter. 31% of you guys stated no, Bam is not a top 5 pound fighter, and he needs to stop fighting old men. So those are the results of the poll. Funny enough, I just found this out about 10 minutes before the live. Ring Magazine just updated their pound rankings, and Bam Rodriguez, coincidentally enough, is coming in at number 5. So he's number 5 on Ring Magazine's pound list. As you guys can see, he's placed above Junto Nakatani, which I don't really know if he's above Junto as a pound fighter. I think Junto Nakatani actually has a legitimate debate of being above Bam on the pound list, but he's at 10. Somehow Earl Spence is still number 9. Earl shouldn't even be on the pound list anymore. He should have been off a while ago, but he's still there somehow, even after getting whooped by Crawford. Tank Davis is 8. Bivol 7 better be of a 6. Now, personally, I don't think Bam is a better pound for pound fighter right now than better be. I know pound for pound is about skill and weight classes and these kind of things, but how do you go against perfection? How do you go against a guy that has literally stopped every style, everybody that's ever been in the ring with him and is 3-belt champion? So you're trying to tell me that perfection ain't good enough? Perfection doesn't do the job? I mean, come on, you literally can't do better than he's doing. So, I personally look, I try not to get into the whole pound for pound thing because I think pound for pound is so subjective and it's so hard to just, everyone's always going to have things they value more than the other. But I think Bam being 7-10 would be more acceptable. I just feel like, look, he's beating some really good fighters. Like he's beating obviously Guile, which is a great fighter. I don't think he beat the best version of Guile. It's not his fault, but I'm saying Guile, his balance and his legs were all messed up from round 1. So for me, it's like he beat a compromised version of Guile. Really, the only guy that he's beating kind of young in his prime is Sonny Edwards, which I give him full credit for. That was a very good win. Everyone else, has been on the way out. They're good name fighters, but on the way out. And to be a top 5 pound for pound fighter, I just think that, he would have to do something top 5 pound for pound worthy, such as, either A, becoming undisputed in the division. So that would mean beating the Ioka versus Puma Martinez winner, which I think that's going to be his next fight, which is a very good, credible fight. If not that, and then after that, beating Kosai Tanaka, who I think is, in my humble opinion, of the champions, the most dangerous guy in the division for him, which he's probably going to fight last if he fights him at all. So I think he either has to go undisputed or move up a weight class and fight Junto Nakatani, which I don't think is crazy because if you're out here calling out Naya Inoue, who's at 122, 2 weight classes above you, then fighting Junto is not a crazy thing. It's not. It shouldn't be this such a out there idea. But I think, look, I don't think right now he's top 5 pound for pound. If you got on top 5 pound for pound, I don't think it's crazy. I wouldn't have him there yet because I think he's got to do a little bit more. Because look at Junto, like just for example, right? Bam is it because if pound for pound is about skill and weight classes and snatching titles from divisions, okay. Junto Nakatani has been champion at 112, 115, and 118. He's been a champion in more weight classes than Bam, but yet somehow he's behind Errol Spence. So make that make sense. How do you reconcile Junto being 10? That doesn't make any sense. So great showing from him, but I just think right now he needs to fight a couple more guys younger, a couple more guys fresher than the guys he's been fighting. He keeps doing what he's doing. F pound for pound. I'll say it like this. He keeps doing what he's doing. You could F the pound for pound list. Bam Rodriguez is on his way to the Hall of Fame. These kind of names, these kind of performances, if he can start to get some of the younger guys more closer in their prime along with those names, now you're talking. Now you're cooking. Now you're talking about not just pound for pound supremacy, but now we're talking about at 24, 25, 26, 27, Bam Rodriguez is now carving himself out a potential Hall of Fame career. So yeah, that's just my take. I'd probably have Bam somewhere around the 8 to 9 range, but that's why it's subjective. But let me see what you guys think. I'm sure we got some really good comments here. Shout out to everybody in the chat. My man James Valdez says, Guile Estrada will take step aside money and look to fight Bam after he goes and wins 2 more belts. That's a smart move. Listen, man, Guile, I think, should really not fight Bam again. Guile, up until this fight, Guile had the honor of being able to claim that he had defeated every man he's ever fought in the ring. Every man he ever stepped in the ring with, he beat. Whether they had a win on him or not, he had avenged all losses. So I guess from that standpoint, like, this would give him a chance to do that. This would give him a chance to still keep that intact down the road. I didn't even think about what you were talking about, but that makes sense for Guile to wait for Bam needed to get at least 2 or maybe 3 of the belts, and then the rematch could be for higher stakes. But honestly, if you just look at, like, guys, if you guys think I'm hating because I've been getting a lot of comments, people are saying I'm being critical of Bam, I'm hating on Bam, which couldn't be anything further from the truth. I like Bam, but I cannot deny what my 4 eyes saw. I cannot deny that this prescription still works. And I cannot deny the fact that Guy Estrada from round one, before Bam even really started landing any heavy leather on him, Guy was falling all over on his feet. His balance wasn't what it used to be. He looked like a completely compromised and washed up fighter. That's a fact. And even in his washed up form, still found a way to land a flash knockdown. So I don't put the stock in the win that most people do. I put stock in the fashion. It was great. The knockout was great, but I just think that wasn't guile. And if you can't at least admit that, then you're not being honest. That's just the truth. Michael Manning says, "Congrats, champ. I haven't seen you since the Cup win. It was a long time. Celtics too. I know it sounds weird. Yeah, man. I've been really basking in the glory of the Panthers winning the Stanley Cup. Plus, just getting used to Vegas, the time zone. The first 2 weeks I was here, I was a little under the weather, so I had to reacclimatize to Vegas, and we're locked and loaded now. It's the true school Las Vegas era, it's the Zettel true school era, the true school Zettel era. It's all that stuff. So it's good to be here, and yeah, it's good. It's good to live in a world where the Panthers are the Stanley Cup champions. Shout out to your Celtics as well, Michael. My man right here, Omar OMVR9 says, "Nah, if motherfuckers really cared about pound for pound, they'd have Ken Sure up there, but they don't. The average boxing fans and casuals only care about big names in glamour divisions." That's true. Really and truthfully, when we talk about, like, I know I mentioned Bam, I know I mentioned Junto. Truthfully, Ken Shiro is better. Ken Shiro should be above both of them. Ken Shiro dominated an entire weight class for damn near 10 years. Literally became champion in 2017. Probably should have been undisputed already, but guys in his weight class who had belts like Jonathan Pomo Gonzalez, they weren't too interested in making these fights happen in a timely fashion. So he moved up to 112. He didn't get a chance to complete what he's been trying to do at 108. But anybody who's been following the Amazing Boy knows, I think he right now in boxing amongst active fighters, he has the third or fourth most career world title defenses, one of the highest knockout ratios of any fighter below the featherweight division. Great fighter. Yeah, so I agree with you. If these pound for pound lists were really legit, Ken Shiro would be on all of them. Sean on Boxing says he got beat by nobody. He got beat by Masamichi Ibuki, who is a legitimate fighter. And then he did what Guy Estrada's done. He fought him in a rematch, and he knocked his ass out in like 2 or 3 rounds. So you can't even use that loss against him. That's just the truth. Shout out to my guy Hockey from Malaysia. He says, age-wise, Nakatani versus Bam is a much better fight. Is it a much better fight in the future or immediate? I think it's a great fight whenever it happens. I just think that, like, look, people keep talking about this Inoue Bam thing as they've done with Nakatani. Junto's name has been inserted with Inoue as well, because he's from Japan. That's a fight that's looked at to be the Super Bowl, the Stanley Cup, the Champions League final, the World Series of final of boxing for Japanese boxing. I just think with both of their names being attached to Inoue, it makes a lot of sense for them to fight each other for that right. If Inoue, if one of them is going to get an Inoue fight, that the only reason I'm bringing it up, Hockey, is because I keep hearing Bam get mentioned with Inoue, and I raised my hand, like I said in this morning's video. I raised my hand. It's partially my fault, because when I interviewed Robert Garcia, I didn't ask Robert Garcia about Bam fighting Inoue or about Junto. I asked Robert Garcia about Bam fighting Inoue. So I've already said it in the video. When I do see Robert Garcia again, he is going to get asked that question. So I think it's a great fight. I think I would like that fight to happen. Like, if I was the commissioner of boxing, that fight would happen right in the probably third quarter of next year. I think you let Bam, try to unify 115, and should he be successful in doing that, then boom, you go right up there to 118 straight away, and you make the biggest, baddest, and best fight happen. So that's really and truthfully where I'm at. But let me see. That's where I'm coming at with the whole Bam Rodriguez top 5 pound for pound thing. Congrats to him on his status in the sport of now being recognized as the number 5 Ring Magazine pound for pound fighter. I think it's a little high right now, and I think he should have to at least do a little bit more. Because look, think about it, right? And this is the last thing I'll say about his pound for pound ranking and his pound for pound status. Bam Rodriguez has kind of done. He's kind of been moving a little bit like Canelo, in the sense that You know, he won the title against Cuadras. Then he went up. Then he dropped the belt, and then he went up and won it against Christian Gonzalez, right? Or maybe I'm getting the weight class mixed up. But you know, he's been doing the yo-yo. You know, up and down and up and down and up and down. And for me, it's like I put more precedent on unifying the division. I don't think Bam has beaten anybody apart from like Sonny Edwards in their prime. Like I just like I like when guys actually dominate a weight class, and I just don't think he's yet to truly dominate a weight class. He's snatched titles. He's been moved very well. I give credit to Robert Garcia, RGBA. They're doing a great job moving him. They know what they're doing. But for me to push him up higher, he has to truly like solidify and stamp himself as the guy in the weight class. And I guess now you can say he has, because now he's a lineal champion. But there's still some guys out there that got some smoke for him that I think he's got to go see, such as Ioka, Puma Martinez, and Kosai Tanaka. So that's what I'll say on that. And then this is what I'll do as well, because, you know, I pay good attention to people in boxing. You know, I do pay good, and this is my next speaking point. I pay good attention to the people. You know, I pay good attention to what people say. And I've noticed on social media, and I've noticed in the boxing community, that a lot of people that I saw shitting on the potential Gervonta Davis-Lomachenko matchup have been very quick to praise Bam Rodriguez beating up Gallo Estrada, which to me is funny, because I look at it as almost the same thing. I won't say it's quite the same thing, because obviously, you know, there's a lot more history with Tank and Lomachenko fighting each other. But I'm saying, if Gervonta Davis fights Lomachenko and knocks him the hell out, is he now, like, shouldn't he get credit? Because Lomachenko is still a great fighter, as was Gallo, right? So is the energy going to be different for the Gervonta Davis? Truthfully, like, I don't think it should be. I really don't think it should be, because it's the same thing. It's the only difference is that obviously, I know he ducked him when he was a younger fighter, and Bam is not doing that. So I already know all the counterpoints to everything you guys are going to say, but it's still, once you really boil it all down to what's happening in the ring, it's the same thing. It's a fighter that's in his prime or close to his prime fighting a guy who is aged out and beating him. It's the same thing. So I'm really curious to see, like, when and if Gervonta Davis fights Lomachenko, if he is to beat him in dominant fashion, if he is to knock him out, will people have that same energy for Gervonta Davis? Will people be quick to push Gervonta Davis up the pound list, to give Gervonta Davis that adoration and that acclaim that Bam Rodriguez is getting? I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just highlighting it, because I have seen some double standards from a couple people on social media who will remain nameless, and it's quite funny. People like to pick and choose favorites, and, you know, they're both beating up old guys. It's the same thing. So what do you guys think? I just wanted to throw that out there. Because it's just how I feel. It's just how I feel, man. A-Buck says, I'll definitely give it to Tank. I like Bam, but Junto's range of power might be too much. Not to mention he's not a fighter on exactly. He's a fresh, young, strong, bigger guy. Davis has been ducking Lomachenko for years. That's why he's getting kickback from people. Yeah, I know that. I know that, but I'm just saying it's still the same thing. I mean, Gallo was 34, Lomachenko's 37, but in the lower weight classes, being 34 is damn near like being 37. When you factor in all the wars that guy was been in, he might as well be 38. He might as well be 40. It's the same thing. So I just hope that if Tank does win, because Lomachenko is still a great fighter. Like, Lomachenko is, if they fight in September, Lomachenko is only going to be a year and a half removed from the fight against Devin Haney, a fight in which many people, myself included, thought he won. You know, and then I know it's Kambosos, and Kambosos is not no A-class creme fighter, but he did fight George Kambosos for the vacant belt, and he did beat the brakes off of him. So still got to give him credit, you know. It is what it is, man. Sean on Boxing says, going to 118 won't be a duck. Ioka already destroyed Tanaka. Yeah, but that was, listen, Ioka did destroy Tanaka. That was 4 years ago. Tanaka's not the same fighter he was back in 2020 when he was doing cartwheels all over the Oath City General Gymnasium. He's grown since then. He's defensively tightened some things up. And mind you, You're talking all that Ioka stuff. Ioka still has to get through the Argentinian, and that's not even a given. He has to still beat Fernando Puma Martinez, and that's not a given. So we can't overlook him. But I hear you. I see what you're saying. BT, if Bam beats Ioka, do you see Bam fighting Tanaka, or does Bam duck and go to 118? Honestly, I honestly feel like Bam is not going to fight Kosai Tanaka. I don't, because Kosai Tanaka is not Inoue, and he's not like Junto Nakatani in terms of the backing and the fanfare he's got. In my eyes, like, I look at Kosai Tanaka as one of the top 3, pound for pound fighters from Japan. Or maybe not 3 or 4. I'll say he's probably 4. I think, actually, no. I'm gonna say he's 3, because I think Inoue is the best. I think Kenshiro is the second best. Then I think Kosai Tanaka is better. I think Kosai Tanaka is a more accomplished fighter than Junto Nakatani, and he's beaten better fighters than Junto Nakatani. So you got to give Kosai Tanaka his respect. So even though he's as accomplished as he is, I don't think Bam winds up fighting him, because that's a higher risk, low reward fight. I think there'll be bigger money fights for him, not at 115 and potentially at 118. And I don't know why. I mean, it's just a fight I feel doesn't make the most financial sense for them, and they're going to look to go another route. That's how I feel. I want to be wrong. I want to really be like incorrect about that. I'll love to see Bam versus Kosai Tanaka. I think stylistically, that's probably the best fight you can make at 115 right now amongst the champions. Kosai Tanaka is one of the most offensive dynamic fighters from Japan right now. He can box, he can punch, his defense is tightened up. I would definitely say if Bam were to fight him, that's the most athletic fighter Bam has fought in his career, which to me I think could make a world of difference, because one thing Bam has enjoyed against all these guys in his career is that he has had an advantage in the athleticism department. I don't think he would have that big of an advantage in that department against Kosai Tanaka, which means that he'd have to do some different things to win, which I think makes for a great fight. So we'll see. But let me see. Tanaka is better than Junto. Junto is the guy Ioka ducked. He is. He's the more accomplished fighter. He is the most accomplished fighter. You can't say, like, I know people are gassed on Junto, which they should be. I like Junto. I think Junto's going place. I think in time Junto probably should become better than Kosai Tanaka. But right now, on this July 1st, 2024, 7:53 p.m. Pacific time, he is not a more accomplished fighter than Junto Nakatani. Junto Nakatani, or Kosai Tanaka, I should say, has been a champion in 4 weight classes. How many 4 division champions do you know in boxing? Period. Name them. If you name every 4 division active champion in boxing right now, if you can. It ain't many, and he's on that list. So right now, you got to give it to him. David wants to know who's televising Puma versus Ioka. Nobody. There's no U.S. television rights. There's absolutely no U.S. television rights to Ioka versus Puma Martinez. So at this juncture in time, unless we get any sort of announcement, the only way you're watching that fight is if you get a VPN and get real creative, And that's crazy, because the craziest thing is this. Bam is going to go to that fight. Bam Rodriguez is going to go. He's going to be ringside at Ioka versus Puma Martinez. So you would think that you would honestly think that you would want the zone would pick up the TV rights or something like that, and but nah. So far, there has been no TV rights. It's a vacation, and it is what it is. I think part of the reason why there hasn't been any TV rights picked up for that fight is because Ioka, if I'm not mistaken, he has a TV deal in Japan with Abima TV, which is like, it's like Japanese DAZN. That's like the best way I could describe it. It's like the Japanese DAZN. And Abima TV generally has their fights, in the Cobra Clutch, like US television networks can't get the rights to those fights. Their fights are on televised here in the States, and they're some of the best fighters in the 105-pound division. So it is what it is. Well, hopefully hopefully I can find a way to watch it. Who is the best guy? He beat, what's we call Vic Saladar, who was a top fighter, I believe he was champion as well. He's beating some really good fighters. But Rauji Taguchi, the same Taguchi who's giving Inoue hell in the ring, he's beating a lot of good fighters. Sho Kimura, Moises Fuentes. I mean, the list goes on and on of the fighters he's beating. But you got to really know the lower weight classes. Junto, I mean, who's Junto? I mean, I don't think Junto's beating much better fighters than him, and Junto ain't more accomplished than him. So it is what it is. People don't like that reality, but it's the truth. Right now, Kosai Tanaka is a more accomplished fighter than Junto Nakatani. Just like Bam got to do more to get into the top 5 pound for pound, Junto got to do more. Has to do more to supersede the accomplishments of what Kosai has done in the sport so far, and that's just the truth. OMVR9 says, motherfuckers were just saying Bam was hyped after going the distance twice. Now he's the best thing since sliced bread. Come on, man, fans. Watch more boxing. Yeah, I remember it. I mean, I remember when he went. I mean, he had 2 very pedestrian performances against Israel Gonzalez and Christian Gonzalez, and even got his jaw broken and completely rewired by Christian Gonzalez. Now, all of a sudden, he's top 5 pound for pound, and he deserves to be up there with Inoue and Crawford. So that's how boxing is. That's how boxing goes. One minute you're a nobody, the next minute you're that guy. So it's just it's the sport we live in. One thing I've learned about being in boxing and going through the highs and lows of covering someone he fights is just I'm getting better at this as I get older. It's just not getting too high, not getting too low. The only time you'll catch me getting too high is if it's somebody that I know or somebody that I'm cool with. So then it's different because I know them. But other than that, you try to keep a even keel. So it is what it is. Now, my last speaking point in regards to Bam Rodriguez and just him in general was I wanted to discuss Bam against this potential Ioka versus Puma Martinez winner because I think it's worth discussing. I think this is a very good and incredible fight for the super flyweight division and just for boxing in general because you look at Ioka. Ioka's an elite counterpuncher. Kazuto Ioka knows how to make you miss, make you pay. But if I'm gonna like some of the Bam Rodriguez haters would say, he's 35 years old, so he's just the right age for Bam. I know they're gonna want Ioka to win because he's the right age and he's got a lot of miles on the odometer and he's a name and he's credible and I just think stylistically that fight's a fight for Bam where I think it could be very similar to the Gao fight where Bam has an advantage in the footwork department, so he's going to be able to set a lot of traps with his feet. Bam Rodriguez is an elite technical fighter, so I think he could outbox and actually be the ring general and the leader in those exchanges with Ioka and actually push him back and slowly but surely beat him up. The fight I think would actually be a little more interesting if this guy was to win would be if the Argentine wins. I think the more interesting fight stylistically is Fernando Puma Martinez against Bam because Puma Martinez is the kind of fighter that I'd actually want to see Bam Rodriguez in the ring with. A fighter that's young, a fighter that's fresh, a fighter that's heavy-handed, a fighter that has a high output, a fighter that won't get tired. That to me is the kind of fight I like to see Bam in. Now, conventional wisdom would probably say that Bam should be able to counterpunch and deal with the forward pressure of a guy like Martinez. But again, we've never seen Bam in there with a young, fresh, strong guy like that. So to me, I like that fight more. And for that reason, I'm rooting for Puma Martinez to win. I want to see Bam Rodriguez start fighting some younger guys. I'm tired of seeing Bam be up these 33, 34, 35-year-olds. I want to see him fight younger, stronger guys. So, and not just that, Puma Martinez, Ioka's legacy in boxing is set. He's carved out a great career for himself. He's Japan's first ever 4-division champion. He's going to be known as one of the better counterpunchers of his era. There's not much more else he can do in the sport. I like seeing guys, make a name for themselves, and it's been a while since an Argentinian fighter really broke through and won a big fight of this magnitude. So I like to see him win, and I like to see him parlay that into a Bam fight and see how Bam deals with that kind of pressure, because we haven't seen him deal with that kind of pressure. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I think they're in Japan, so I think if Ioka keeps it close, he'll probably get a decision. But I think Puma Martinez, he can't go to Japan. He can't go to Japan with the mentality of, oh, I'm gonna go in there and just narrowly nick a decision against Ioka. No, I think he needs to go to the mentality that I'm gonna knock this dude's freaking lights out, and anything short of that would be a big disgrace on his end. You know, it'll be a big letdown because they're not gonna give it to him. Ioka's a very, very popular fighter over there. His fights do great viewership. His fight, I think when he fought that last guy that I can't even remember his name. That cherry pick he had in December, he did like, was it 3-4 million viewers in Japan, something like that. So he's doing. Listen, he's ticking the boxes as a guy that moves the needle business wise in Japan. So like I said, Martinez is against all odds. Martinez has to go to knock him out, and the thing is, I think he can. I think Ioka's reflexes, if you watch him close up these last couple of fights, I think his reflexes have slowed down, and I do think if Puma Martinez was going to break through, he would be able to break through right now. But we'll see. I want him to win. I want to see Bam fight him. I think that's the better fight stylistically. Even though Ioka is the more accomplished guy and he's done more, I think the better fight, the more entertaining fight, the fight where I'll learn more about Bam would be in a fight against Martinez. Against Ioka, I just think Bam will outwork Ioka, probably to a decision. And if he catches him, maybe stop him. The Martinez fight is actually intriguing to me. That's what I'm coming with, you know. What do you guys think? Where would I put Bam on my pound list? I'd have him like somewhere between 7 and 8. I think no higher than 7, no lower than 8. You know, I think he's done enough to warrant being on the list. I think he's done enough to, I don't know. Maybe he will be lower than 7 or 8 because there's some guys that are not even on most pound list that I think should be above him. Like Ken Shiro should be above Bam Rodriguez. That's not even debatable to me. Like it's not debatable. He's literally been champion as long as anybody in boxing. He was literally won his first world title in 2017. He's got a whole truckload of defenses. He's fought the superior competition to like 90% of boxing. So he should be above Bam. I think Junto has a case to be above Bam. I think Bam probably could be 9 or 10, actually. I think even me saying he's 7 or 8 is probably giving him too much credit. Tanaka has a better resume. Can we at least agree Junto is a more dangerous fighter? He has everything a boxer would want. Heck, his ass shouldn't even be at 118. I think he's more dangerous to Bam because of what he's learned his last couple of fights. I think if you would have asked me this, if you would have made that statement to me 2 fights ago, I would disagree with you. But Junto has, over the last couple of fights, I think really taken some big steps in his growth, in his maturation process of learning how to fight as a tall man. Like he's perfected fighting as a tall man. So I'll agree with you. I'll agree with you now, but I wouldn't have 2 fights ago. You know? Yeah, Ioka did beat Ioka did in fact go ahead and beat what's his name? Franco. So yeah. Sean Unboxing says Bam Rodriguez is no Angelo Leo. You're damn right he's not. You're right. He's beneath Angelo Leo. You're right. And come August 10th, y'all gonna find out. You know, see, I didn't bring Angelo's name up. Y'all brought Angelo's name up. So now y'all gonna bring his name up, and I'm gonna have to start running my mouth. And I don't want to run my mouth. I'm trying to stay humble. You know, shout out to Estrada Lopez. You know, it's gonna be a good fight. But August 10th, you know, you guys will find out. And August 10th, when you guys do find out August 10th, you know, don't downplay Venado. Venado is still a good fighter. Just don't downplay him after August 10th. That's all I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna leave it at that. If Ken Shiro moved up to 115 right now and school Bam, they'd be saying Bam was hype and lost to a nobody. That's your average boxing fan. Pound skill set that he's paid more attention. Yeah, I know for a fact that's a fight Ken Shiro wanted because when I was out there in Japan and I asked Ken Shiro, and when I asked Kosai Tanaka for that matter, who they wanted to fight, they wanted to fight Bam. Bam Rodriguez was a marked man in Japan. Japan's finest wanted to smoke with Bam. So, Ken Shiro is at what is he at 112 pounds now? So I mean, I know Bam's not going to move back down now, but that would have been a great fight. Estrada gets beat worse in a rematch with Bam. I think so. I honestly think so. I hope that Bagao just hangs it up. I hope somebody gets in his ear and convinces him to retire. I know he's a fighter and he's got a lot of pride, and he's avenged anybody that's ever beating him. So what I know from his perspective, he's gonna say to himself, why would this be any different? But my thing is like his balance, his foundation wasn't there. It was clear to see his foundation wasn't there. His legs weren't there. And a guy with Estrada with no balance is not a guy with Estrada that I think I want to watch because it was sad. You know, it was very sad. Martinez does have good pop. He took this one dude's ear off there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Puma Martinez is heavy-handed. I don't think he's not a big one punch fighter. Like he's not gonna knock you out one punch. But man, you let him get off three or four on you, then you in some trouble. So we'll see how it goes. But listen, I want to switch gears, guys. I gave Bam Rodriguez I gave him 37 minutes. So if y'all got any Bam Rodriguez comments, you can leave them down below. I'll get them later on. But we gotta talk about Teofimo Lopez, man. We have to talk about the takeover, and this whole fight with Steve Claggett, because honestly, he's talking about going to welterweight. He's talking about, capturing some welterweight greatness. He said that he wants to become a world champion, a 3-division champion by the age of 27, which, I appreciate his ambition. One thing I can say about Teofimo Lopez is that he's never lacked ambition. He's never lacked the ability to want to be great. And that's probably the thing about him that I respect the most. Say what you want about him. You can sit here and you can talk about the Kambosos performance or any of these lackluster performances he's had over his career. But one thing that I give him credit for is that, these guys like Tank and Ryan and Devin, these guys, for the most part, have, in comparison to Teo, taken the path of least resistance. Teofimo Lopez at 23 was fighting Vasily Lomachenko. He's fought Josh Taylor. He's fought, the who's who of the guys in and around his weights. And more oftentimes than not, when it comes time to perform against the who's who of the guys in and around his weights, he's won and he's looked great doing it. So I give him his credit for that. But you gotta be balanced here. This Steve Claggett fight was, and it's no disrespect to Steve Claggett. I think Steve Claggett was game. I thought he was tough. I thought he came with the best he could have possibly came with. However, it was pretty much a public workout. It had the intensity of a public workout. Steve Claggett did not have the punching power to trouble Teofimo Lopez. He did not have the boxing IQ to trouble Teofimo Lopez. He was just a game guy who threw a good volume of punches, and he was pretty much just a body for Teofimo to move around, look good, and ultimately get a win. And that's what it is. That's what it was for Steve Claggett. So I'm really wondering, because and what's crazy is I'm looking at this lighting right now. This lighting is pretty dark, so I gotta work on this lighting. But nonetheless, it ain't the greatest setup, but we're making it do what it do. Nonetheless, like Teofimo Lopez. Hold on, guys. This lighting is bothering me. Give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. That's the best we can do for now. So we're make it do what it do. But listen, nonetheless, like Teofimo Lopez is talking about going up to 147, which to me, I think it's kind of foolish. Honestly, I do think it's foolish. I really do. I think Teofimo Lopez, if he goes to 147, and this is the truth, he's a knockout loss waiting to happen up there. His punching power could barely keep the Steve Claggetts of the world off of him. Steve Claggett, like my man right here said, where is it? Sean on Boxing. Claggett won like 3 or 4 rounds. I know Comedy Box, they were trying to fudge the Comedy Box numbers and they said, oh, Teofimo Lopez, he won. He was throwing more punches than Steve Claggett. I don't think so. I think Steve Claggett was throwing more punches than Teo. I thought Teo did a good job to block a lot of these shots and eventually get his range and find the punch that worked for him, which ultimately was that little uppercut. But at 47, he's not gonna have nothing for nobody. I mean, they're talking about Tio fighting Brian Norman Jr. I'm telling you right now, Brian Norman Jr., especially with the confidence he has coming up that Giovanni Santillon win, I have zero doubt in my mind. If Teofimo Lopez fights Brian Norman Jr., Brian Norman Jr. will beat Teofimo Lopez, possibly stop him, because he's not going to have the power to keep a guy like Norman off of him. And I know that his dad, Senior, he's going to say that, well, okay, slick boxer Gordo, the slick boxer version of his son, is going to be able to beat these guys. And really and truthfully, it's not. What makes Teofimo Lopez an elite creme de la creme world-class fighter isn't his boxing skills. It's a combination of things. It's his athleticism. Really, I think probably more of that than anything. His athleticism is really what puts him over a lot of fighters in boxing. Then it's his punching power. But his punching power isn't quite carrying up to 140 the way it was at 35. So as he continues to fight better competition at 140, and if he does go to 147, I have less and less confidence in him, because I don't think that his punching power is going to be enough to keep these guys off of him. Nor do I think that I don't think his boxing skills are good enough to outbox these guys. So I think he's going to be caught in a rock and a hard place at 47. But I think if the Brian Norman Jr. fight's an amazing fight, I think it's a winnable fight. Like I don't think Brian Norman Jr. Is the hardest guy he could fight at 47. I think Brian Norman Jr. is very beatable, actually. But at the same time, it's like he's still a 47 pounder. He can still punch, you know. And I just don't think that T.O. can deal with that at 47. But you gotta admire the ambition. Gary Anton Russell lost to a guy nobody rates. Matias lost to Paro, who was a good fighter but beatable. Tia is going life and death with absolute no hopers. Yeah, he is. Steve Claggett is gonna get paydays. Like he had such a good showing against Tio. I promise you, Top Rank is gonna recycle him for other 140 pounders. In fact, I'll make a prediction right here on True School Sports, and you guys can clip this, and you guys can put this in your mental memory, put this in your mental Rolodex. I guarantee you, within the next 3 fights for Keyshawn Davis, Steve Claggett winds up being an opponent. Mark my words. They will use Steve Claggett as an opponent for Keyshawn, the businessman Davis. They already have him fighting. And look, Shinobi had ESP. Shinobi's on the same accord with me. He said this at the same time as me. You're damn right. You can bet your bottom dollar. You can bet your ass you will see Steve Claggett versus Keyshawn Davis. I mean, just even saying Keyshawn Davis versus Steve Claggett out loud, that just sounds Bob Arum. That just sounds Top Rank. That just sounds very Brad Goodman. That sounds like a fight they would make. So, yeah. Steve Claggett did so good. He's going to be able to parlay a nice little career as an opponent, as a gatekeeper to higher level and up-and-coming fighters, you know? I honestly think the best guy at 140 might just be Lindolfo Delgado. Well, look, Lindolfo Delgado have a great chance to prove that point correct, because Lindolfo Delgado is fighting Brian Flores on the co-main event to one of the most anticipated fights of the year here on True School Sports. You know, you're gonna have Albuquerque, New Mexico's favorite son, El Chinito Angelio, fighting for the IBF title as a 5-1 underdog against Venado Lopez. You know, it's going to be a great and momentous occasion. I cannot wait. I'll be there. So if any of you guys are going to be in Albuquerque, let me know. Let me know, because I'll be out there. But yeah, I think might be one of the best fighters. Some could argue that, you know, apart from Bam, of course, and Virgil, outside of Bam and Virgil, I think he might be the best prospect in the RGBA stable. I mean, you got Arturo Cardenas. You know, Robert Garcia always got prospects, but you know, he's someone that's knocking on the door of big things at 140, and he's got to make a statement come the 10th of August. Shout out to my guy Shakur Maria. He says, "Yes, BT, I've lost my Instagram, but how have you been, man? I hope you've been good." Good. I've been exceptional, Shakur. And you know what, Shakur? It's crazy. I find it very ironic that you lost your Instagram, because when the Panthers were getting their ass waxed by the Oilers, You were sending me messages. You were sending me all these things. And now that the Panthers are the champs, you know, I'm going to go ahead and put my hat on to remind you, Shakur. Now that the Panthers are the champs, you know, I need a congratulations from Shakur. I need a big congratulations, Shakur. You got to eat some crow. I told you years about Barkov. I told you who Barkov was, and he did his thing. He did his thing, man. We're the champs. So good to see you. Good to see you, Shakur. Glad you're here. Get your questions down below. Shinobi says that he will be there at Angelo's fight in Row D. Okay, I'll be there as well. You'll definitely see me by the ring. I'll be there by the ring at some point. So I'll see you there, Shinobi. If you see me, make sure you flag me down. But yeah, the whole point of what I was saying is Teofimo Lopez at 47, I just think is a bad idea. So I would like to see Teofimo Lopez try to become undisputed, get those fights against the guys like Liam Paro, you know, do the Devin Haney fight that we've been talking about for a long time. You know, if they can do Isak Cruz versus Teo, that's a big fight. You know, there's some real good value fights for Teo at 140. The crazy thing is, even though 147 is a glamour division, even though 147 is a division where, you know, there's a lot of history, 147 is probably one of the weakest divisions in boxing right now. You got Jaron Ennis, who's champion. That guy elevated to champion because guys don't want to fight him, right? And really, like, it's crazy. Like, I'm not gonna out nobody, but I know fighters that have ducked Jaron Ennis. Like, I know behind closed doors a couple of fighters that have been ducking Jaron Ennis. So I actually know how horrible the welterweight division is, and the welterweight division is just as horrible as the middleweight division because literally, if the best fighter in the division can't get fights to prove that he's the best fighter in the division, then the division is trash. That's just how it is. So, you know, I think the better value for Teo in his career is at 140. The more winnable, like, not like the bigger fights, the bigger paydays, the fight that'll further cement him is at 140, and it's the better weight class too. So unless he's trying to pick up an easy title, and he thinks that Brian Norman Jr. is that easy title, I would stay at 40 and just try to make those big fights. Try to force Top Rank's hand to get you that Devin fight, to get you that big money fight, those big nights for you. That's really why I'm coming. My man right here is spitting that nonsense, and we're not going to acknowledge that. We're not going to acknowledge second-rate hockey teams in Florida. There's only one team in hockey Florida that matters, and it's the Panthers, the champs. We don't acknowledge second-rate hockey teams. Shakur, would you go to 140 just to be the champ and drop back down to 135 and give the opportunity? He says, well, bro, I know it's Shakur's finals weekend. How do you think he's going to do? I got him against the field. And he thinks that Boots should go to 154. I think it'll be an interesting fight. Artur Haratunian, as we know from the Frank Martin fight, he likes to move his hands, and he's got pretty good hand speed, and he's an aggressive fighter. So I think Shakur will have a chance to flash some skills in the pocket and show his overall skill set. I think Shakur wins. I don't think he stops him, but I think Shakur wins a 117, 111 decision. And actually, like, I actually think it'll be somewhat of an entertaining fight, just because I think Artur Haratunian has the style that makes fights entertaining. So if I'll tell you this, if Shakur Stevenson make this fight boring, God bless him. God bless him. You know, we're gonna have a lot of people talking. You know, and at the end of the day, the name of the game is win. But at the same time, this is still show business with blood. So hopefully, you know, he goes in there and dominates and gives the hometown fans in New Jersey something to cheer about. You know. Let me see. What's the last thing I had about Teo? Because there was one more thing about Teo. I pretty much already touched on it, which was the fact that is slick boxer Gordo good enough to be great at a higher weight? Which to me is like, for those of you who don't know, you know, Teofimo Lopez is from South Florida. You know, he's from the home of the champs, Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers. He's from Broward County, Davie, Florida to be exact. He went to school at Western High School. You know, nobody can tell me otherwise. I know the truth, right? So that being said, Teofimo Lopez, I think I don't think he's that level of a technical fighter to beat guys at 47. Them guys, it's too big. They punch too hard. Now maybe at 40, maybe at 140, I could see him maybe being able to slightly outskill a guy like a Liam Parle and become champion. But at 47, I don't see him slick boxer Gordo being good enough to beat guys at high weight, because in the amateurs, he was a slick boxer. Like, for those of you who don't know, Teofimo Lopez was a slick boxer in the amateurs. He liked to box and move and make you pay. And he's shown that, like, he showed it in the Josh Taylor fight. He was that guy for the Josh Taylor fight, which to this day, and in honestly, like, I don't like making excuses for fighters I like, but like, I have to think that Josh Taylor was weight drained, because I still can't. I cannot watch Teofimo Lopez fight Steve Claggett, and I can't for the life of me understand how I beat Josh Taylor so easily. Like, it baffles my mind. But that's one of the things that makes him exciting. One of the things that makes him exciting is the fact that you don't know when the hell he's in, which version of him shows up. So we'll see how it goes. MEZBX wants to know, Tio is still fighting in 5,000 seat arenas, and he wants to know why. Well, I think there's two parts to the answer. Answer number one is that, number one, Top Rank does not like to fight in big venues. You may say, BT, how do you know that Top Rank does not like to fight in big venues? Because I did an interview with Bob Arum recently, and I asked Bob Arum if he would box Inoue, who he says is so great, at Dodger Stadium, which I think makes a lot of sense with Shohei Ohtani being on the Dodgers, with there being a big Asian American population in LA. I think Inoue is due for Top Rank to put some proper marketing dollars behind him in the States and fight at Dodger Stadium. But Bob Arum doesn't see it that way. Obviously, he's a Hall of Fame promoter, and I'm just the guy with the YouTube channel, so I'm not going to argue with him. But Bob Arum said, no, Dodger Stadium is too big. So they don't even fight in big arenas for Inoue. They don't fight in stadiums for Inoue. So why Teofimo Lopez, who is not really a ticket seller, why would they go about 5K for him? You know, it just is what it is. It just is what it is. Like that's what it is. The only way they would fight him in a bigger venue is if he was able to sell more tickets. But my thing is, I think Top Rank kind of did him dirty, and I think maybe he kind of did himself dirty early in his career, because they wanted to market him as a New York fighter. He's not really from New York. He may have been born there, but he did not grow up there. He did not go to school there. He did not learn how to box there. He learned all those things and went to school and is really from South Florida. So he should have been a South Florida fighter, and I think he would have had a better base. But now he's neither from South Florida nor is he from New York. So now he's from everywhere, but he's from nowhere, which I think makes it hard for him to sell tickets. He's from Honduras. He's from Spain. He's from Brooklyn. He's from Miami. Like, it makes it hard to be a draw. It just is what it is. So, you know, it is what it is. But look, guys, I ran through everything. I ran through all my Bam Rodriguez. You know, I pretty much ran through all I had to say about Tio. So now y'all can ask whatever y'all want. Whatever y'all want to ask, go ahead and ask it. I'm here to take your questions. I'm here to, you know, we're doing this second cycle of 90 days of boxing. Today is day numero uno. So, yeah, man, I feel more alive already going back to 90 days of boxing. I honestly, because felt weird not going live every day, to be honest with you. So I'm back to it. Shakur says Angelo Leo is going to dominate. Trust me, whoever is going to be there, you're going to watch a masterclass. Tell them again. Tell them again, Shakur. They're not listening. And BT, what do you think of Jao Pataya and Inoue is number one till Crawford fights Boots, which will not happen, but there's so much at 154 for Boots, Virgil. So I like Opataya. I think Opataya is still far and away the best cruiserweight in the world, and it's not remotely close. I think he's the best talent in the division, but I do think that Marius Briedis did kind of expose some chinks in the armor that last fight. I personally would like to see Jao Pataya fight Zoro Ramirez. I think Zoro Ramirez's size, boxing skills, pressure, volume punching could give Jao Pataya some problems and offset some of the things he likes to do. But it looks like they're not going to go that route. Zoro looks like he's going to go ahead and probably fight Chris Smith because they've already went ahead and discussed it. So, yeah, Jao Pataya is the man. He's the lineal champion. Nobody's the man till they beat him. So, yeah. Virgil Ortiz and Boachuk is on the same night as Leo and Venata. Well, that's cool. All respect to Virgil Ortiz and Boachuk, but I don't give a damn about no Virgil Ortiz and Boachuk that night. I don't give a damn about No other fight in boxing. Honestly, to tell you the truth, guys, I mean, I'm gonna be on here. I'm gonna be a diligent, consummate professional that I've been for almost a decade here on YouTube. But honestly, August 10th is all I care about right now. If I'm being honest with you. What do you think of Robesi's performance? Do you think he can win a rematch against Espinoza? I thought Robesi performed pretty well. He did pretty much how I thought he would do against Brandon Benitez. I thought he would stop him around the 7th round. I thought he looked like he was throwing his punches with a bit more purpose. But I would still favor Espinoza over him just because I feel like with that style that Ismail Salas teaches, the boxeo con flow, I just think that a long range educated volume puncher like Espinoza, barring getting knocked out in the early rounds, if he's able to get Robesi to the back half of the fight, he should outwork him every time. So the great fight for the division, the featherweight division is the gift that keeps on giving, but I would favor definitely Espinoza in that fight. Tio got to fight the entire planet to keep proving himself. The other guys can be minus 600 for the Alberto Pearls, fight UK Bombs, fight the Raul Valenzuelas of the world. Nah, Teofimo Lopez has proved himself. He's a two division lineal champion. His resume speaks for itself. I'm never gonna take away his accomplishments because you can't take away his accomplishments. I'm not that kind of guy. But Teofimo Lopez has left some things to be desired, and I just want to see him get back to being his best. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But you're not wrong. I mean, I think like Tank was a pretty big favorite against Frank Martin. When we knocked him out, everyone's saying he's pound for pound. So I hear you. He says boxing is a joke. Boxing, yeah, sometimes it can feel like a joke, but it's still the best sport in the world. How do you feel about Raymond Ford saying he might skip 130 and go to 135? It's not shocking to me because Raymond Ford is a big kid. He's huge. He's a gargoyle. I didn't realize how big he was till I met him in person. So how he got to 126 is beyond me. Honestly, if you want me to tell the complete honest. So listen, if he feels that's what's best for his career and he gets the big time opportunities, then good for him. I got no ill towards Raymond Ford. BT, do you think Jimenez gives Bam any trouble? He's schooled. How do you see the fight going? David Jimenez is a good little fighter. I don't think he'd had much for Bam, honestly. I think he'd give Bam some good pressure, but that's a good fight. If Bam can't get no big fights and wanted to stay busy, I wouldn't mind David Jimenez. That's a fight worth looking into. Saludos to my main man Jesus and welcome to the second installment of 90 Days of Boxing, day number 1, the beginning, the starting point. Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna end the live in like 2 minutes, guys. So get your questions in. Once we get to an hour, I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap it up because I gotta get my rhythm back. I gotta get my rhythm back. I gotta get my all that stuff going again. But leave your thoughts down below. We just chilling right now. Who do I like between Oshaki Foster and Conceição? That's a good fight. That's a real good fight. I'll probably lean towards I'll go with Shock Foster. Shock Foster by close UD. Something like a 115, 113. I think Conceição will have the speed and athleticism and the know-how to win some rounds against Shocky. But I think Shocky's just firing on all cylinders right now. I'll go with him to win a close UD. Is 154 the best division in boxing right now? Absolutely not. The best division in boxing is the featherweight division. Hands down. Not even close. Dudes just fighting each other. There's a lot of depth. There's a lot of different types of styles of fighters. 126 is where it's at. But listen, guys, look, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. I just wanted to come and get my little thoughts on Bam and talk a little TO, talk some boxing, get my feet wet again. But yeah, this is day number 1, 90 Days of Boxing, part 2, the second cycle. And we ain't talking about steroids. I'll be live again tomorrow. So tune into tomorrow's live. Make sure you guys continue to check out all the content here on True School Sports. Check out all the shorts, everything. I'm working on getting some interviews right now. So yeah, we just hit 76,000 subscribers recently. So things are absolutely flying at the minute, and I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be with you guys, and that's what's gonna be. You guys want 5 more minutes? All right, I'll give you guys 5 more minutes. Fuck it. I'll give you guys 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Get your questions in. 5 more minutes. It's at 1:05 at the 1 minute and 1 hour and 5 minute mark. I'm gonna end it. So I'll give you guys 5 more minutes, but I gotta fix this lighting though in here because I'm too dark. 3 more songs. 3 more songs. Yeah, get them in. Haven Brady is at 130. What do you think about him? Lamont versus Oscar. Winner deserves respect. I haven't thought too much about Haven Brady in a long time. I couldn't even tell you what he's been up to, but I know he's a good, solid fighter. Whatever he's doing, I hope he makes some waves in the division. I got nothing bad to say about Haven Brady. You mentioned Lamont Roach. The fight I want to see Lamont Roach in is against his mandatory Otar Aronosian. Otar Aronosian has been the mandatory since August of last year. And Lamont Roach just had a very, very cotton candy soft voluntary defense against Fergal McCrory. He looked great. I enjoyed the fight, but now it's time to step up to the big boys. It's time to step up to the big dogs. And if you can't get a unification fight against one of the other champions, you need to honor your mandatory, and you need to go ahead and you need to fight Otar Pitbull Aronosian, the real Pitbull. I mentioned this earlier, but Warrington is getting a fight with Anthony Kakachi instead of Eduardo Sugar. Yeah, I've seen that. I did see that. That like these guys. That's what I'm saying, guys. That's what I'm saying. The devaluation of mandatories in boxing continues. Before he lost, you've seen it with Filip Hrgovic. You've seen it. You're seeing it with Otar Aronosian. Now let Sugar Nunez be just another example. Like boxing does not give a flying fuck about mandatory challengers at all. Not a singular fuck about mandatory challengers. So what's the point of having a mandatory challenger if they don't honor the mandatory challenger and they can just make up rules and bypass? What do I think about Abdullah May's next opponent? I think he's solid, although I'm not even sure who his next opponent is. Who is Abdullah May's next opponent? What's his name? BT, Jonathan is chasing Kenshiro. Does the fight finally happen at 112? I mean, if he stops getting injured and stops pulling out of fights, it'll happen. I mean, I like Bombo Gonzalez. Bombo Gonzalez is a credit to Puerto Rican boxing. He's one of the only guys that I think has brought any honor to the flag of Puerto Rico the last couple of years. But really and truthfully, Jonathan Gonzalez was dragging his feet to make the Kenshiro fight. And so I would like to see that fight happen. They have unfinished business. And I'm sticking to my guns. Like if they fight, my initial pick was always Kenshiro by decapitation. I'm sticking to it. Kenshiro by decapitation. Jonathan Gonzalez not being Kenshiro. But again, Jonathan Gonzalez has been the underdog before against big punches and found a way to win. So this will be no different. But I just think Kenshiro's IQ, his punching power, his boxing skills, his fundamentals, Jonathan Gonzalez is not going to be the same fighter at 112 that he was at 108. Luis LeBron, yeah, Luis LeBron's a good little fighter. That's who Abdullah's fighting next. That's a good little step up fight. I like that fight for him. I believe he's a southpaw, if I remember correctly. That's the kind of fight Abdullah Mason needs at this point in his career. So good matchmaking by the fine folks at Top Rank. Lester Martinez versus Beck Bully. Who wins? I would go with Lester Martinez. Lester Martinez, man. I don't know what they put in them gloves, but I was watching this fight against Gongora when he fought on the Lamont Roach undercard. That dude was punching. Like he has different type of power. And he's very accurate, and he puts his punches together very nicely. I think the time that he's spending camp with Bomac and Team Crawford and all those guys, it's paying dividends because he looks like a guy that's very much fight by fight improving. So hopefully that's a fight that can get made, because I think he's gonna be a big factor in the 168 division in the coming years. But guys, on that note, I'm gonna end the live. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in, and like I say in every single one of these videos, you can like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just Kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.